خُذِ الْعَفْوَ وَأَمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. It's a very, very comprehensive ayat pertaining to akhlaq fadila, the highest apex and pinnacles of goodness. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was given kamal in akhlaq ke hamidiya. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam brought akhlaq and the teaching of akhlaq to its finality and apex. So there are certain ayat karima, certain ahadith mubarakah, very, very short but encapsulates the pinnacles of akhlaq. One is this ayat. Another hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in terms of hadith, is that silman qata'ak wa'fu amman dalamak wa tu'ti amman haramak. Join with the one that breaks. Forgive the one that oppresses you, and the one that deprives you of your rightful rights, fulfill their rights. So here the Quran says three things. Khudil af. What is logatan, linguistically, lexically, the meaning of af? There are a number of meanings. So therefore, if you open the tafasir, Mufassirin have chosen different meanings for af. The Jamhur Mufassirin says that anything that can be done with ease, without much difficulty, is af. So then what would the meaning be then? Then the statement is, whatever people can do with ease, accept it. In other words, in any khudil af, how important this lesson is for the father, for the mother, for an ustad, for a sheikh, for a leader of a community, anybody that is in charge and has subordinates. That whatever compulsory duties are upon your subordinates and they endeavor to fulfill it, then do not ask, especially in those things that are compulsory of the highest level. If they can give you of a moderate level, acceptable level, then accept it. That means in af means with ease, without kulfat, without difficulty. For instance, by example, the soul of salat is concentration, devotion. So now a father is commanding his children, Muru awladakum bis salat wa hum abana'u sab'a sinin. Wadribuhum alayha wa hum abana'u ashar sinin. So outwardly, if they are doing salat, don't expect such concentration, devotion in the child. If he is doing the requirements of salat, the outward postures, reading Surah Fatiha, after Thana, Surah, etc., accept it. Your child is studying and they're doing what is required primarily of the studies. Don't put unnecessary burden on coming out first, second, or third. That will frustrate the child. Even though they might achieve, but they will have an abhorrence, a disinclination and dislike. Because it's unnecessary pressure. Which we need to work out a middle path. We want the best for our children. We want that which is an ustad also. But wanting the best, which is a natural desire, at the same time you must be aware whether it frustrates that person or whether the person is going to give their full for the purpose of just to appease you, but be disinclined towards the effort and the activity. So in all the farais of deen, whether it is salat, whether it is zakat, whether it is saum, whether it is hajj, not only confined to ibadat, this will include muamalat, include muasharat. In fact, in Sahih Bukhari, there is a narration of Abdullah ibn Zubair radiallahu ta'ala that he asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what does this ayat mean? Was outwardly the meaning we know, khud, take, al-af, forbearance, overlooking, wa'amur bil-urf, instruct the good, wa'arid anil jahilin, disperse of disinclination towards the ignorant. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Allah has instructed me to accept the outward amal and akhlaq of the people. Then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, after this ayat was revealed, I made it my fervent intention that I will engage with people like this. This riwayat is found in Ibn Kathir also. A big group of mufassirin like Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Zubair, Ma Siddiqa Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, and from the Tabi'in and Mufassirun, Mujahid, etc., have taken this. That khudil af, what ease they can engage and do, and the minimum requirements are fulfilled, except. The second meaning of af, that to overlook. And one group of Mufassirin have chosen this view. That means those that have done wrong, then forgive. In fact, Imam al-Tafsir Ibn Jarir Tabri rahmatullah alayhi says when this ayat was revealed, then Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked Jibril Amin as to its meaning. So Jibril Amin said, I have to ask Allah. Then Jibril Amin went and asked that the Rasul of Allah is asking, what is the deeper meaning of this ayat? So then that famous hadith, which is the apex and the pinnacle of akhlaq fadila, akhlaq hamida, makarim akhlaq, khudil af. So tashri, the explanation, the tafsir of this is silman katak. Wa'afu amman dhalamak wa tu'ti amman haramak. Ibn Mardawi rahmatullah alayhi mentions a riwayat from Sa'd ibn Ubadah that on the occasion when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam's beloved uncle Hamza radiallahu ta'ala anhu was mutilated in a barbaric form, and they cut his parts and removed his intestines, etc. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam seen this condition. In some riwayats it comes that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's voice could be heard when he cried. Some Sahaba explained, we have never heard him cry like this before, nor did we see him in such a condition. Then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam at that moment said that I will do to 70 of theirs like what they have done to Hamza. On this ayat was revealed that it's not for you. Khudil af wa'amur bil urf wa'arid anil jahili. And similar, there's a riwayat which Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal has made from Uqba bin Amir radiallahu ta'ala, is that what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned, that what is makarimi akhlaq, that the person that makes zulm upon you to forgive, who breaks ties with you to join ties, and the one that deprives you of your rightful rights to fulfill their rights. In Bayhaqi Sharif there is a riwayat of Ali karramallahu wajh. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned that Allah Ta'ala tells Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I have given you the highest levels of akhlaq from the awwaleen and the akhirin. Meaning, you have come for the culmination of the highest levels of akhlaq. That means every Nabi has made an effort. But the level and the apex and the pinnacle and the summit that you will introduce, and you will be the culmination of all of it. And what is that? Same thing. Silman kata'ak, wa'fu amman dhalamak, wa tu'ti amman haramak. So outwardly there is a difference between the first meaning I give you of khudil af, that accept, which is moderate, which is easy, available, and the second is that overlook. So, in other words, what is said, when it comes to others, accept. If they give you an argument, they give an excuse, don't try to break their arguments, try to look for faults in their arguments. Many times Sahaba, and many times in the time of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he came back from jihad, and the munafiqin in particular used to come forward and give excuses. And they in their minds would think that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is so gullible, whatever you say he believes. Nabi's intelligence was far beyond our collective intelligence. But never did he probe too much. He accepted. So one means to combine both. That when people put forward excuses, or when you are instructing your students, learners to do certain things, then accept the average. And at the same time, if they err, let it go. Don't have jazbat of revenge. So the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam fashioned his entire life around this. So even your children, they know what you are telling them is for their benefit. And you want them to love deen. Don't make deen a burden. So by expecting the highest levels, he might fulfill your desire, but just for your sake, but frustrate himself in the process. Your wife also. You want to live with your wife in an amicable manner. Do not nitpick every issue, as if you are waiting for a wrong to be done. Then this is khudil af. Then the second part, wa'amur bil urf. This is makarim akhlaq. They do good deeds. Here also it means the person that oppresses you, do not avenge, but forgive. Then the Quran Karim says, وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ, that do not retaliate zulam, oppression with dhulam. Don't ever leave goodness. Yes, there are certain circumstances where no matter what they throw at you and you try to be kind, and you see the person takes no effect, then and then only should you distance yourself. In fact, Imam al-Tafsir Ibn Kathir says, what does arid? What does arid mean? One is our interpretation and understanding. He writes, وَعَارِضًا الْجَاهِلِينَ means do not respond to evil with evil. And it does not mean now وَعَارِضًا الْجَاهِلِينَ, forget now advising them in a kind manner. In Sahih Bukhari, there is a narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, that on one occasion in the Khilafat, so Bukhari Riwayat Sharif Sahih, Hazrat ibn Abbas make mention. Then in the Khilafat of Umar radiallahu ta'ala, there was a person by the name Uyayna ibn Hisan. He came from outside Medina. Came to Medina. This is riwayat most likely you did in Riyadh al-Salihin also. And he was hosted by his nephew, Hur bin Qais. Hur bin Qais had a very good relation on Nabi Karim, with Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala. In fact, he was in the advisory board of Umar radiallahu ta'ala in his shura. So he realized that his nephew has got good relation with Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala. So he asked his nephew Hazrat Hur bin Qais that ask your Khalifa and our Khalifa for an audience so that I can speak to him. So because of his relationship, he asks Umar radiallahu ta'ala that my uncle has come from the outside, he wants an audience with you. So Umar radiallahu ta'ala obliged. They were always very, very amicable and cordial to visitors. When Uyayna bin Hisn came, he spoke in a very, very harsh way, in a uncouth, uncultured manner. And the first statement he made, you are not just in fulfilling our rights. So Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala naturally became angry. It's a human quality. It doesn't mean that anger, if somebody passes a negative statement against you, you'll not become angry. So immediately, Hur bin Qais, the nephew, realized, and he knew what endeavors and what length Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala used to go. He left all his comforts for the comforts of others. He was absolutely just. He gave preference to others over himself. And he was in the company of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala all his life. So he knew fully that this was an unfair statement. And secondly, at the same time, he knew Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala's strength and anger also. So immediately, when he seen Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala, then he said, Khudil af wa'amur bil urf wa'a'rid anil jahilin. And it's famous, as Umar radiallahu ta'ala was waqafan in the kitabillah. Immediately halted. Allah's kalam is saying this. I am saturated with anger. But the kalam of Allah is saying, Khudil af wa'amur bil urf wa'a'rid anil jahilin. He didn't do anything. He let it go. So this ayat karima is very, very comprehensive of what constitutes makarim akhlaq. So two very, very important lessons. Especially you will be teachers in future. You will be parents in future. That when you instruct your children and they try to endeavor, then accept the outward efforts of theirs and in fact be complimentary on them trying and endeavoring. Yes, if you see shortfall in terms of disinclination towards what they are supposed to do, then basically rectify that. But the minimum levels of effort they have made, accept it. Otherwise it will bring lots of frustration in your children. Then the Quran Kareem mentions, وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. If any whispers come from shaitan, then seek refuge. That means also a big lesson. Don't you try to fight shaitan and start singing, oh shaitan, I'll fight you down. Seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in one hadith it comes that two people were fighting in front of Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the one person was losing control. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I know such words that if he utters them, his anger will leave him. So this person heard and he asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what are these words? So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, read, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Immediately this person read and his anger diminished. Imam Tafsir Ibn Kathir has written some amazing things here. So he says in these ayats, Allah has mentioned akhlaq fadila. Then, if you look in the three ayats in the Quran where Allah has mentioned the highest levels of akhlaq, amazing, after all three ayats, mention of shaitan comes. For example, in Surah Araf, Allah mentions Surah Mu'mineen also. And one is this ayat. Or one is the Surah Araf ayat. Then in Surah Mu'mineen, Allah says, Itfa billati hiya ahsanu sayya. That repel and engage with evil with good. Nahnu a'lamu bima yasifun. We are totally aware of what they do. Then Allah says, وَقُلْ رَبِّي أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينِ. Say, O my sustainer, I seek protection from the whispers of and plotting and planning of shayateen. وَأَعُوذُ بِرَبِّكَ وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّي أَن يَحْضُرُونَ وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّي أَن يَحْضُرُونَ. If you look at this is ayat number 97 in Surah Mu'min. Then, so this is one Surah Araf. Immediately after Makarim al-Akhlaq, Allah mentions shaitan. In Surah Mu'minun, after Allah mentioning how you should engage with evil, with goodness. Then if you look in Surah Hamim Sajda, Allah also mentioned, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ. Evil and good are not equal. Itfa billati hiya ahsan. Repel what far superior, better. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ أَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Because a person between you and him, there is enmity, he will become your bosom friend. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. Only people that have patience will be able to achieve this. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍ عَظِيمٍ. Those that have great fortune is the ones that will be able to obtain this, to respond evil with good. Then Allah says, وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Ajib. 3 ayats that explains about akhlaq fadila, makarim akhlaq to its highest levels. After each one of those ayats, Allah makes mention of shaitan. That shows that shaitan has a tremendous effect in our discord, whether it be between husband and wife, between parents and children, between siblings, between society, between ustads teaching in the madrasa, between students studying in the madrasa. So absolutely become aware of this. And immediately the response is to seek refuge by Allah from shaitan. So we understand what is the barrier of reaching the apex of good akhlaq? Shaitan. You understand? So become conscious about this. And read. If you are there, then try to go away from there. If you are standing, sit down. If you are sitting, lie down. Because anger is very, very, very manipulative and chalak. You understand? It only shows its anger on those that you can't take out your anger on. Many of us say that, you know what, when I'm angry, I just swear, I can't help it. You can't help it. Because if your ustad is there and you're angry, you will not swear. That shows you can't control. How come you control it? So only if it's a girl in the madrasa who you think you can take out your frustration on, then you let go your swears. Isn't it?